Welcome to the end of term exam review. Today, we are going to synthesize the core concepts from our piping and valve craftsmanship curriculum. We will cover everything from job site safety and rigging to trade math, welding, and basic electricity. Let's dive in. Safety is the foundation of any trade. You must know your hazards, like hydrogen sulfide, the highly toxic gas commonly found in sewers. Understanding fire classes is also critical. For example, Class A fires involve ordinary combustibles like wood, while Class C fires involve electrical equipment and require a carbon dioxide extinguisher. When setting up a ladder, always use the 4-to-1 rule. For every 4 feet of height, place the base 1 foot away from the wall. And always check your PPE for proper CSA ratings, like the Omega symbol for electrical resistance. Next, let's review our tooling. Using the right tool for the job prevents damage and injury. For instance, a spud wrench is specifically designed for flat-edged fittings, while a basin wrench is your go-to for tight, hard-to-reach spots under fixtures. When cutting materials, you will use a snap cutter for brittle cast iron, but a chop saw is needed for mild steel or black iron pipe. And remember, when you need to create internal threads inside a pipe or fitting, a pipe tap is the correct tool, utilizing a standard 60-degree NPT thread angle. Rigging requires precision and a deep understanding of load dynamics. When rigging a load, your sling angles should always be greater than 60 degrees to minimize tension on the slings. If you are lifting long, awkward loads, a spreader bar is essential to prevent the load from sliding or tipping. When securing wire rope, properly installed U-bolt clips will maintain about 80% of the rope's original strength. And most importantly, any rigging equipment used to hoist personnel must have a strict 10-to-1 safety factor. Moving on to hot work, gas safety is paramount. A fully charged oxygen cylinder sits at a massive 2,000 to 2,600 psi and uses green hoses. Acetylene, on the other hand, is highly unstable. Its maximum safe working pressure is just 15 psi and uses red hoses with left-hand threads to prevent accidental mix-ups. When joining copper, remember that brazing occurs at temperatures above 800 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas standard 95.5 soldering uses an alloy of 95% tin and 5% antimony. To build a system, you have to be able to read the blueprint. We primarily use 2 types of drawings. Orthographic drawings give us flat, 2-dimensional views, like a top-down plan or a side elevation. Isometric drawings, however, provide a 3-dimensional perspective, making it much easier to visualize how a piping system routes through a building. You also need to memorize standard symbols. Knowing the difference between a gate valve, a check valve, and a diaphragm valve on paper ensures the right component gets installed in the field. Let's talk materials. When we refer to NPS, or nominal pipe size, we are talking about the approximate inside diameter of the pipe for sizes up to 12 inches. Schedule 40 is considered the standard wall thickness for steel pipe. For copper, we categorize it by wall thickness using letters like K, L, M, and DWV. Valve selection is just as important. A ball valve is great for quick isolation because it only requires a quarter turn to open or close, while a swing check valve must be installed in a horizontal position to function properly. A skilled tradesperson is also a practical scientist. You need to know your conversions, like the fact that 1 imperial gallon occupies exactly 277 cubic inches. You also apply physics daily. Bernoulli's principle tells us that in a fluid system where velocity is greatest, pressure is least. When dealing with pressures, remember that absolute pressure is your gauge pressure plus standard atmospheric pressure, which is 14.73 psi at sea level. Finally, in surveying, your first reading taken on a known benchmark is always called your backsight. Finally, we touch on basic electricity. Electricity is simply the flow of electrons. You must understand Ohm's law, which states that voltage equals current multiplied by resistance. In a parallel circuit, electricity has more than one path to travel, which is how most building loads are wired. When you are troubleshooting and need to test for voltage using a multimeter, always connect your meter in parallel with the circuit. And if your meter reads OL, that indicates an overload or an open circuit. And that wraps up our comprehensive review. We have covered a massive amount of ground, from hydrogen sulfide hazards and rigging safety factors to isometric drawings and Ohm's law. Take the time to review your formulas, memorize your standard dimensions, and understand the why behind the codes. Good luck on your end-of-term exam. You've got this.